The grand hall of Zarnath shined with golden lights. Tall crystal walls reflected every movement. The ceiling was high, filled with stars carved into black glass. All the leaders of the galaxy stood in silence. It was the Day of Unity, and Queen Velra, ruler of the Zarnath Empire, was about to give her speech. She walked toward the center platform slowly, her long purple robe trailing behind. Her tall crown sparkled. She was strong, proud, and feared by many. Her voice was known across the galaxy. She had built peace between 15 alien worlds. Her enemies feared her. Her friends followed her. Everyone in the hall stood straight as she raised her hands. But then, something strange happened. Queen Velra paused. She blinked. Her hands dropped to her sides. She looked confused. Then her body shook. Her eyes rolled back, and in front of the entire galaxy, the queen collapsed to the ground. Gasps filled the hall. Some leaders screamed. Others ran forward. The royal guards pushed through the crowd, forming a wall around her. Medical bots flew down from the ceiling. The lights turned red. Everyone was in panic. Except for one man. He was human. His name was Tom. Tom stood near the back, quiet, still, and calm. His heart beat faster. But his face showed no fear. He didn't run forward. He didn't scream. He just watched. He had expected this. Not the exact moment. Not the drama. But the collapse, yes, he had known it was coming. 3 days ago, Tom had arrived with a human delegation from Earth. It was the first time Earth had been invited to the Zarnath Unity Summit. Humans were still new to galactic matters. Many species looked at them as simple, emotional, and bold. But Queen Velra had shown interest in Earth's ideas, so the humans came. And Tom was part of the tech and security team. He had no big title. No one in the hall even knew his name. But Tom had been watching. That morning, while checking his small scanner, he had noticed a strange signal in the palace air, a low, vibrating frequency that made his skin crawl. Most species couldn't even sense it. Even Tom barely noticed it, like a distant hum behind a wall. But the pattern was familiar to him. He had read about it in old human war files. It was a sound-based weapon, a slow, hidden one. It could break nerves over time, damage the brain, make someone collapse, just like Queen Velra had done. Tom had tried to trace the source but failed. It was coming from inside the palace, bouncing off metal walls, lost in echo. He knew something was wrong, but he had no proof, and in the Zarnath Empire, a false claim from a new species like humans could cause disaster. Earth could be blamed, or worse, punished. So he kept silent. Now, standing in the red-lit hall, Tom stared at the fallen queen. The medbots hovered above her, scanning and sending reports. The royal healer, a tall alien with green eyes and silver hands, stepped forward and whispered something to the guards. One of the guards shouted, "No poison. No wound. No virus found. She is unconscious. Her mind is not responding." The council members looked at one another, unsure. Some whispered. Others blamed the food, the stress, or the pressure of the summit. No one mentioned an attack. They didn't want to speak such a word in front of so many. Tom looked up. The lights on the ceiling blinked in a strange way. Every 10 seconds, one red dot flashed and vanished. It was a signal, he thought, a pulse. Maybe part of the weapon. He checked his wrist scanner. Yes, the same signal repeated again. This wasn't over. Tom slowly turned and walked out of the hall. No one stopped him. No one cared who he was. He was just a human, another visitor from a new world. But he was already working in his mind. He had to find the source of that sound. He had to stop it before it hurt someone else, and he had to do it quietly. The palace was massive. Each floor was made of glass, gold, or polished stone. Alien staff rushed around. Guards stood alert, but Tom walked calmly, holding a small toolkit and his wrist device. He looked like a repair worker. No one questioned him. He followed the signal through 3 levels, down into the lower palace, where only machines worked. Pipes ran along the walls. Vents blew warm air. The sound was stronger here. He could feel it in his teeth. He stopped outside. A large metal door. It was marked with alien script he had learned to read. Sound systems authorized only. Tom entered. Inside was a large round room with silver panels and control boards. In the middle sat an old alien with soft yellow skin and long ears. He was fixing a wire with slow hands. The alien looked up and blinked. "Who are you?" Tom smiled politely. "Name's Tom. I work with the human team. You're Moro, right?" The old alien nodded. "I am. Why are you here?" Tom stepped closer. "I think something bad is happening with your sound systems. I need your help." Moro stared for a long time. Then he slowly pointed at a chair. "Sit. Tell me everything." Tom sat down and began to explain. Tom sat on the metal chair while the old alien named Moro stared at him. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of the machines. Pipes ran through the walls, and sound panels blinked with colored lights. This was the heart of the palace's audio system, where all the communication lines passed through. Tom leaned forward and placed his small scanner on the table. "I picked up a strange frequency signal," he said. "Low, steady, repeating. It feels like a sound weapon." Moro's eyes narrowed. "A weapon? Here, inside the Queen's palace? That is a serious claim. Human." Tom nodded. "I wouldn't say it unless I was sure. I've studied this kind of signal before. We had something similar on Earth many years ago. It was used to attack leaders without leaving a mark." Moro tapped a few buttons on his console. "What does it do exactly?" Tom pointed to his wrist scanner. "It slowly targets the nervous system. It's very slow, so it doesn't look like an attack. But over time, it makes a person weak, dizzy, and finally, they fall, like Queen Velra did today." Moro didn't speak right away. He looked at the signal data on Tom's device. Then he typed something on his screen and pulled up the palace sound logs. The screen filled with patterns and charts. "There's a small pulse here," Moro said. "It moves through the royal floors every 10 seconds. I thought it was just background vibration. We sometimes have echoes in the old walls." Tom stood up and walked to the screen. He pointed. "That's it. That's the same pattern I saw earlier. Someone is using the sound system to send this signal." Moro looked troubled. "But only trusted engineers can access these panels, and only the council can approve sound adjustments. No one from outside can touch them." Tom crossed his arms. "Then maybe someone from inside is behind it." Moro looked at him. "That is a strong thing to say." Tom said softly, "The Queen is unconscious. No virus, no poison, no injury. The sound weapon is real, and it's active. That means someone close to her did this." Moro sat back in his chair, silent. Then he slowly said, "There are many who want the throne. Queen Velra has ruled for many years. Some think her time should end, but she always stood strong. Now, with her mind gone, the council may choose someone new." Tom nodded. "And if the same signal keeps playing, it could attack others, even members of the council." Moro rubbed his chin. "We must stop the signal." Tom agreed. "But we can't rush. If we shut it down now, the person behind it will know we're watching. They may hide the device or make a new one." Moro said, "Then what do we do?" Tom pointed at the screen. "Let it run for now, but track it closely. Trace the exact path it takes through the system. We need to find where it starts." Moro began typing quickly. The machine started recording the signal. Tom opened his toolkit and placed a few small sensors near the panels. These were human tech, very small and hard to detect. They could listen, record, and trace energy paths. "These will help," Tom said. "They'll show us where the power flows, not just the sound. Whoever built the weapon needs energy." Moro looked at the small tools. "You humans are clever." Tom smiled. "Sometimes." They worked for the next few hours. Every time the signal pulsed, the machines recorded it slowly. A path began to form on the screen, a map of cables and pipes through the palace. The signal came from the upper levels, near the royal chambers, then passed through hidden vents into the speaker system. Moro frowned. "Only a few people have access to that area." Tom asked, "Can you get me inside?" Moro hesitated. "It is guarded." Only council members and high officers can enter freely. Tom thought for a moment. Then we need another way. Maybe through the maintenance tunnels. Morrow nodded. Yes. There's an old path under the stone floors. Not used in years. But if it still works, it leads near the council's private rooms. Tom smiled. Then that's our next step. Before they left, Tom checked his scanner again. The signal was still steady, still pulsing. The same pattern every 10 seconds. I think the attacker's patient, Tom said. They don't want to rush. They want people to believe the Queen just got sick. No one will blame a person for that. Morrow added, until it happens again. Then fear will grow. People will look for someone to take control. And the attacker will be ready, Tom agreed. And we have to stop them before that happens. Suddenly, a voice came over the room's speaker. It was cold, calm, and familiar. All engineers must report to the security hall. This is a direct order from the Royal Guard. Morrow stood up. They're calling me. Tom whispered, do they know we're working here? Morrow shook his head. I don't think so, but I must go or it will look strange. Tom gave him a small disk. Keep this hidden. It's a backup of our data. If anything happens to me, show it to someone you trust. Morrow took it and placed it inside his coat. Be careful, human. Tom nodded. You too, friend. As Morrow left, Tom stayed behind. He opened a side panel and crawled into a dark tunnel. He needed to follow the signal to its source. It was time to see who was behind the Queen's fall. But deep in the shadows of the palace, someone was already watching him. Tom moved through the old maintenance tunnel. The air was warm and smelled of metal and dust. Small lights blinked along the walls, but most were dead. He crawled forward carefully, holding his wrist scanner in one hand. The signal was still there, still steady, still pulsing every 10 seconds. The tunnel was narrow, made for machines, not people. Pipes ran beside him, some warm, some cold. The sound of water flowed somewhere beneath. It was quiet except for the faint hum of palace energy lines. The deeper Tom went, the stronger the signal became. He checked his scanner again. The direction was clear now. The source was near the Royal Council floor, the highest level of the palace, where only the most powerful were allowed. Tom stopped at a metal grate. He looked through it and saw a long hallway, thick red carpets, golden walls, tall lamps with floating lights. At the far end stood two guards with silver armor and sharp eyes. Tom whispered, no way through that, but he wasn't planning to walk in openly. He turned and crawled into another tunnel on the left. It ran parallel to the hallway. After about 10 meters, it opened into a small room filled with cables, machines, and old boxes. There, hidden behind an old wall panel, he found something strange. It was a small metal case connected to a sound wire. Very old, very clean, not part of the main system. Tom opened it carefully. Inside, he saw a round device the size of an apple. It had no screen, no light, but it hummed slightly. He scanned it. The signal matched. This is it, he whispered. It was the sound weapon. Slow, silent, smart. Someone had hidden it inside the palace itself, in a place only trusted workers could reach. It had been working for days, maybe weeks. Tom took a photo with his scanner and recorded its signal pattern. He didn't touch it yet. He needed more than just a device. He needed a name, someone who placed it, someone who planned it. Suddenly, he heard footsteps. He quickly hid behind a tall cabinet, holding his breath. The door to the room opened. A tall figure stepped inside. A Zarnath noble, dressed in dark green robes. Tom knew the face. It was Prince Sero, cousin to Queen Velra. Sero walked up to the hidden panel and opened it without hesitation. He checked the device, tapped a few buttons on his wrist, and nodded to himself. It is working well, he said softly. Soon, the council will choose a new leader. He closed the panel and left. Tom waited until the footsteps faded. His heart beat fast. He had what he needed. Prince Sero was behind the attack. And now, Tom had proof. But as he turned to leave, a voice spoke from a dark corner. You saw too much. Tom spun around. Another figure stepped out. Not Sero. This One wore a simple black cloak. His face was hidden, but his hands held a stun stick. The weapon hummed with power. Tom backed away slowly. "You don't have to do this," he said. The figure didn't answer. He raised the stun stick and stepped forward. Tom reached into his pocket and pressed a small button. A flash bomb dropped to the ground and burst with white light. The figure shouted and covered his eyes. Tom jumped forward, kicked the stun stick away, and ran out the door. Alarms didn't ring. This was the royal floor. Nothing here was automatic. Too many secrets. Tom rushed back through the tunnels. His scanner still worked. The signal was still recorded. His legs ached. His arms burned. But he didn't stop. After a long crawl, he reached the sound room again. Morrow wasn't there. The lights were dim. The system was still running. Tom sat down, copied the files from his scanner into the palace system, and wrote a short message. Sound weapon located. Source, Royal Council floor. Controlled by Prince Zero. Full signal record attached. He placed the message in a hidden file under the system logs. Only someone who knew the code could find it. Then he sat back and waited. After a few minutes, the door opened. Morrow stepped in, his eyes tired. "You're alive," he said. "Barely," Tom replied. Tom told him everything about the tunnel, the device, the hidden room, and Prince Zero. Morrow listened without interrupting. When Tom finished, Morrow sat down slowly. "I served this palace for 40 years, he said. "I believed in Queen Velra. I thought the council stood for peace," Tom said. "Sometimes power is more tempting than peace." Morrow looked at the screen. "We have proof now, but showing it won't be easy. The council won't believe a human. They will call it a trick." Tom stood up. "Then we find someone they do believe. Someone inside the palace who still serves the queen." Morrow thought for a while. Then he nodded. "There's one. A guard named Nara. She is loyal. She watched over the queen's family for years. She might listen. Then we go to her," Tom said. Before leaving, Tom looked at the blinking lights again. The signal still moved through the palace. The weapon was still active. But now, he had something Zero didn't expect. Truth. And soon, the whole empire would hear it. Tom and Morrow moved quickly through the side halls of the palace. The tall towers of Zarnath rose around them like silent watchers. The sky outside was turning dark, and the stars above the city began to glow. Inside, the royal guards walked there. Puffs, but none of them noticed the two figures moving between the machines and pipes. Morrow wore a long gray coat and kept his face down. Tom carried his wrist scanner close, checking for signs of the sound weapon. The signal was still active. That meant the device was still sending its deadly pulses through the walls. They were heading toward a private chamber near the training halls, far from the main palace rooms. It belonged to guard Nara, the woman Morrow had trusted. "She will listen," Morrow said as they reached the door. "If anyone in this place still honors the queen, it is her." Tom knocked softly. A moment later, the door opened. Nara stood there in full armor, a long staff in her hand. Her eyes narrowed when she saw the human, but she nodded when she saw Morrow. "You should not be here," she said. "There are whispers. Already, they say the queen was poisoned." Tom stepped forward. "That's not true. She was attacked, but not with poison. It was a sound weapon." Nara frowned. "That is a strong claim," Morrow said. "He is telling the truth. I saw it myself. We found the signal in the palace walls. It matches the symptoms, and worse, we found the device, hidden deep in the council floor." Nara looked shocked. "Someone from the council." Tom nodded. "Prince Zero. We have proof." He pulled out his scanner and played a short clip. Zero's voice filled the room. "With Velra gone, the empire will rise. Under new leadership." Nara's eyes widened. "That traitor." Tom added, "We need your help. The council won't believe me. I'm just a human visitor. But you, they know you. They trust you." Nara stepped back and motioned them inside. The door closed behind them. She walked to a table, removed her helmet, and sat down. "I served Queen Velra's mother," she said quietly. "I watched the queen grow from a child to a leader. I never Thought someone in her own family would try this. Morrow asked, "Will you help us bring this truth to the council?" Nara looked at them both. Then she nodded. "Yes, but we must do it the right way. The council chamber is guarded. If we try to speak without proof in hand, they'll throw us out," Tom said. "We have recordings, signal patterns, the device location." Nara stood up. "Then we'll go there tomorrow morning, when all members meet again. I will demand that the truth be heard. Until then, you must stay hidden." Cero has eyes everywhere. She led them to a hidden storage room beneath the training hall. It was filled with old weapons and training dummies. Dust covered most of the shelves. "You'll be safe here tonight," she said. "I will guard the door myself." Tom thanked her. He sat on a crate and leaned back. Morrow sighed and sat beside him. "Strange," Morrow said, "how everything changes in one day." Tom replied, "Sometimes one day is enough to stop a war." They rested for a few hours. Tom didn't sleep much. He kept checking the scanner, watching the signal pulse every 10 seconds. The weapon was still active. He feared Cero might use it again, maybe on another council member. Maybe on Nara. As the sun began to rise, Nara knocked on the door and, "Open it, it is time," she said. The three of them moved quietly through the palace. Nara led the way, her armor shining in the early light. No one stopped her. She was a respected guard, and no one questioned her movements. They reached the council hall just as the grand bell rang. Inside, tall pillars lined the round room. 13 council members sat in curved chairs, facing the center. The queen's throne was empty. A golden cloth had been placed over it. Prince Cero sat on the left, his eyes cold and calm. He smiled as Nara entered. "Guard Nara," he said. "Why are you here during council meeting?" Nara stepped forward. "I come with urgent truth. A threat has entered this palace, one that has already harmed the queen." Cero raised an eyebrow. "You speak boldly. I speak with proof," Nara said firmly. Tom stepped forward and raised his wrist scanner. The council members whispered. When they saw the human. Tom tapped the screen. It showed the signal chart, then the image of the hidden device, then the audio file of Cero's voice. The room fell silent. Councilor Bellis, the oldest member, stood up. "Is this real?" Morrow stepped forward. "I confirm it. I serve the palace systems. This is no lie. The signal has been active for many days." Cero stood slowly. "Lies. This is a trick. Human technology cannot be trusted." Tom looked straight at him. "Then explain why you were in the sound room last night. Explain why the weapon was hidden where only you could reach." Cero's calm face broke for a moment. His fingers twitched. Belaz looked around. "We must see this device." Nara nodded. "I will take the guards myself." 2 guards left with her. Cero sat back in his chair, eyes dark. The room waited. After 20 minutes, the guards returned with the device in a sealed box. Nara followed behind. The council stared at it. One of them said, "This was found where only the prince could enter." Bellis looked at Cero. "What do you say now?" Cero stood up. "This empire needs a strong leader. Velor ruled too long. She blocked progress. She silenced new voices. I did what I had to do." He stepped forward, but the guard stopped him. Bellis spoke loudly. "You are under arrest for betrayal against the crown." Guards surrounded Cero. He did not fight. He only stared at Tom. With cold eyes, "You humans," he said, "you always meddle." Tom replied calmly, "We just don't like bullies." As Cero was taken away, the council turned to Tom and Morrow. "You saved the queen," Bellis said, "and the empire. We thank you." Tom nodded. "Let's hope she wakes soon." After Prince Cero's arrest, the palace felt heavy with silence. The grand halls, once alive with whispers and movement, seemed cold and empty. The council held meetings non-stop, trying to decide what to do next. Queen Velor remained unconscious, resting in the royal chamber under careful watch. No one knew when she would wake. Tom and Morrow stayed close, working together to understand the strange weapon that had caused all this chaos. They returned to the hidden room beneath the council floor, the place where the sound weapon had been found. The small metal device sat on a glass table. covered by a clear shield to protect it. Tom leaned over it, scanning the device with his tools. "This is a dangerous thing," he said quietly. "It uses sound waves at frequencies no alien can. Here, it attacks the brain slowly, causing damage without leaving marks." Morrow nodded. "It is silent, invisible. A perfect weapon for those who want to control without fighting." Tom touched the device carefully. "We must learn how it works. Then we can find a way to stop it." They connected the device to a small energy analyzer. Lights blinked as the machine began to read the weapon's power source and signals. Tom watched the numbers and patterns, trying to understand. "This power source is small but strong," Tom said. "It can work for days without recharge. The pulses happen every 10 seconds. Just like the signal we saw." Morrow pointed at the screen. "Look here. The weapon uses palace sound lines. It sends its pulse through the speakers in the royal chambers." Tom frowned. "That means it can be turned on or off remotely," Morrow said. "Or controlled by a secret device. Someone with palace access." Tom rubbed his chin. "We need to find the controller." They searched the palace sound systems again. Tom used his small sensors to trace the energy flow. The path led to a hidden room near the council's private chambers. Morrow said, "This is the place, Prince. Sarah visited before, but the room is empty now." Tom said, "Maybe the controller is hidden somewhere else. Someone else might have a copy." Morrow looked worried. "This attack was planned carefully. There may be others." Tom nodded. "We can't be sure, but we have to check every place." They split up. Morrow went to check the palace communications hub, while Tom went to the security control center. Both were important places where devices could be hidden. At the security center, Tom found the room full of screens showing palace halls and corridors. Guards sat in chairs, watching carefully. Tom pretended to be a repair worker and asked to check the wiring. A young guard let him in without questions. Tom carefully scanned the walls and ceiling. Suddenly, his scanner beeped. A faint signal was near. He followed it to a ventilation duct. Inside the duct, hidden behind a panel, was a small black device. Tom pulled it out carefully. It looked like a remote controller, connected to a small power cell. He scanned it and smiled. "Found it." He took the device to Morrow, who was waiting in the communications room. "This is the remote controller," Tom said. "It turns the weapon on and off." Morrow looked at the device and said, "It is proof. If we find who has this, we find the attacker." Tom nodded. "Let's check who accessed the security room recently." Morrow typed on his console. The screen showed a list of names and times. "Look here," Morrow said. The last person to enter was Captain Lyra. Tom froze. "Lyra, the captain of the Royal Guards," Morrow said. "Yes, she is trusted by the Queen. But why would she enter this room late at night?" Tom said, "We have to ask her." They left the communications room and headed to Captain Lyra's quarters. The hallway was quiet. Guards passed by without notice. At the door, Tom knocked. A strong voice called. "Who is it?" Morrow said. "Captain Lyra." "We need to speak." The door opened slowly. Captain Lyra, tall and proud, stood before them. Her dark eyes studied Tom and Morrow carefully. "What do you want?" she asked. Tom held up the remote device. "We found this in the security center." "Do you know about it?" Lyra's face did not change. "No, that is not mine," Morrow said. "You were the last person to enter the security room." "Why?" Lyra looked away. "I was checking the alarms. Someone tried to hack the system last night." Tom said, "Did you report it?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, immediately." Tom didn't believe her. "We found this device connected to the sound weapon. Someone in this palace used it to harm the Queen." Lyra's eyes flashed. "You accuse me? I am loyal to the crown. I would never harm the Queen." Morrow stepped closer. "Then help us find who did." Lyra looked at them both. After a long silence, she said, "If you want help, follow me." They walked through long halls until they reached a small room. Lyra opened a cabinet and pulled out a data pad. "This is the security log from last night," she said. "It shows someone tried to access the sound system remotely, but the attempt failed. Tom took the pad and checked the records. The intruder used a fake code, a very clever one. Someone wants to hide the truth, Tom said. Lyra nodded. And it might not be just Prince Zero, Morrow said. We must be careful. The palace is full of secrets. Tom looked at Lyra. Will you stand with us? Lyra looked thoughtful. Then she said, yes, for the Queen, for the Empire. Tom smiled. Then we have new allies. They decided to guard the weapon and the controller carefully. Tom placed small sensors near the device to alert them if anyone moved it. Days passed, and the palace remained tense, but Tom felt hope. The silence of the weapon was a chance to stop the attack for good. He looked out from the palace window and saw the stars shining bright. Somewhere in the galaxy, the future of the Empire was being written, and this time, humans would help write it. The council chamber buzzed quietly with voices and soft footsteps. It was early morning, and the air felt heavy with tension. News of Prince Zero's arrest had spread through the palace like wildfire. Yet many council members still doubted the full story. Tom stood near the entrance, clutching his wrist scanner tightly. Morrow and Captain Lyra stood beside him. All three knew the weight of the moment. Today was the day to prove the truth or risk losing everything inside. The council members gathered in their seats. The empty throne still stood draped in golden cloth. The room was grand and cold, filled with serious faces. Councillor Bellis sat at the center, his old eyes sharp and focused. The doors closed. Silence fell. Bellis raised his voice. We have called this meeting to discuss the recent events. The Queen remains unconscious. We have arrested Prince Zero on charges of betrayal. But some council members still ask for proof. Tom stepped forward carefully. I have the proof. He tapped his wrist scanner, and a hologram appeared above it. The signal pattern flashed on the screen, pulsing slowly. Then the image changed to a photo of the hidden sound weapon. Next, a short audio clip played. The calm voice of Prince Zero, speaking in the secret chamber. The council members gasped. Belas nodded slowly. These recordings are clear. But do they show the full story? Morrow spoke next. I serve the palace systems. I confirm the signal is real. It caused the Queen's collapse. The device was hidden where only the Royal Council can access, Captain Lyra added. And I confirm the security logs show multiple attempts to control this weapon. Someone wanted to hide the truth. Whispers filled the room. Suddenly, the doors opened again. Guard Nara entered with 2 palace guards. She carried a sealed box, the sound weapon device. She placed it carefully on the central table. This is the device that attacked the Queen. It was hidden inside the palace. Bellis gestured to the guards. Secure the device. No one is to touch it. He turned to the council. The evidence is clear. Prince Zero is guilty of betrayal. Zero, sitting silently at the side, looked at Tom and the others with cold eyes. Bellis continued. The council must now decide the fate of the Empire and its leader. Tom watched the room. Some council members looked angry. Others seemed unsure. Power was at stake. One council member spoke. If this attack was planned by Zero alone, why did no one notice before? Could there be others? Morrow answered. It is possible. The weapon's design suggests many helpers. Lyra said, we must stay alert. This is only the beginning. Bellis raised his hand. The council will hold a full investigation. Until then, no one is to leave the palace. Tom felt a mix of relief and worry. The truth was out. But danger remained. After the meeting, Tom and Morrow walked through the palace halls. The morning sun warmed the stones. Guards stood watch at every corner. Morrow said, you have done well, human. Without you, the Queen may have never survived. Tom shook his head. We all did this together. The Empire, the guards, even you. Morrow smiled faintly. Humans are strange. You believe in truth even when it is hard. Tom looked up at the stars outside the windows. It is the only way to build trust. As they walked, a palace messenger ran up to them. Captain Lyra requests your presence, he said. They followed the messenger to a private room. Inside, Lyra stood by a desk with many data pads. I found something, she said. The weapon's design is old but adapted. The original plans came from a band group, rebels from another star system. Tom looked closely. Rebels? Lyra nodded. Yes, they once tried to overthrow the Empire. Their tech is forbidden, Morrow said. This means the threat may be larger than just Prince Arrow. Tom felt the weight of his duty grow heavier. The Empire was not safe yet. Later that day, the royal chamber was quiet. Queen Velra lay still. Eyes closed, the healers watched her carefully. Tom stood nearby. He touched her hand gently. Please wake soon. We need you. Suddenly, the queen's fingers moved slightly. A healer called out. The room rushed forward. Velra's eyes opened slowly. She looked around. Confused but alive. Tom smiled. You're awake. The queen's voice was weak but clear. What happened? Tom told her everything simply. About the sound weapon. About the betrayal. Velra listened, her eyes steady. You found the truth. Tom nodded. Yes. And the Empire will stand strong again. Velra reached out her hand. Thank you, Tom. Tom took it, feeling hope rise inside him. Outside the palace, the galaxy watched. The story of a human who saved an empire spread like fire. Tom looked to the stars, knowing the future was uncertain, but brighter. The palace was calm now. The stars outside shone bright, and a gentle breeze flowed through the open windows of the royal chamber. Queen Velra sat on her throne once more, her eyes full of strength and wisdom. She looked over the gathered council and the people who had stood by her during the darkest days. Tom stood nearby, feeling proud but humble. He had never expected to be part of such a great story. Just a human from Earth, quiet and small in the vast galaxy, but now a hero too many. The council chamber buzzed softly. Members whispered and shared smiles. The threat of betrayal had been exposed, and the Empire was healing. Queen Velra raised her hand, and silence fell. Her voice was calm but full of power. Today, we stand together, stronger than before. The attack on me was not just an attack on a leader, but on all of us. It showed that darkness can hide even in the brightest places. She looked at Tom. This human, Tom, helped us find the truth. He did not belong here, but he fought for justice as if it was his own home. The council nodded. Some smiled. A few clapped softly. Tom felt warmth in his chest. Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what I believed was right. Queen Velra smiled. That is the heart of a true leader. The days that followed were busy. The palace worked to strengthen security and build trust between all species of the Empire. Tom and Morrow helped teach others about the sound weapon and how to guard against hidden threats. Captain Lyra was praised for her honesty and courage. Gardner continued to protect the queen and the palace with even more determination. Prince Sarah's fate was decided by the council. He was removed from power and sent to a secure place to answer for his crimes. The Empire chose peace but remained firm against betrayal. Tom found himself often invited to meetings and celebrations. The humans were no longer strangers but friends and allies. One evening, as the sun set behind the distant stars, Tom walked with Morrow in the palace gardens. Flowers of many colors bloomed around them. The air smelled sweet and fresh. Morrow said, You changed many minds here, human. You showed us that strength comes from truth and courage. Tom smiled. And you taught me that honor is worth fighting for. They stood quietly, watching the stars begin to glow. Suddenly, a message came to Tom's wrist device. It was from Earth. Mission complete. The message read, Return home when ready. Tom looked at Morrow. I think my time here is ending. Morrow nodded. You will be missed. Tom took a deep breath. But this is not goodbye. We have made a new family here, and I will return someday. Queen Velra joined them in the garden, her presence calm and strong. Tom, she said softly, the Empire thanks you. Your bravery has shown that even one small voice can make a difference. Tom bowed his head. Thank you, Your Majesty. She smiled. Go back to your home, but remember, you will always have a place here. As the stars shone brighter, Tom felt hope for the future. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but also full of friends. He looked up and whispered, Humanity. F******, yeah, and with that, Tom prepared for a new journey, one that would take him back to Earth but never forget the Empire. He helped save